Hey everybody, welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Wendy Lee, and this is the daily show where we bring you the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight to what it all means. Joining us is every Friday, Dennis Zen.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another brand new episode of Collider Movie Talk. It's Friday.
Hello.
It's a happy Friday because
Friday.
a week from now, it looks like I will also be in Orlando, Florida for Star Wars
Yeah.
Celebration.
This is on the team.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm going to have to catch up on Star Wars Rebels, read some Star Wars books and everything, but I'm happy to be there. Who else are we joined by?
You lucky ducks, also here with the best bangs in the world, Perri Nemiroff.
Hey, I am having a good bang day, I think. Thank you, Wendy. And you nailed that intro.
Yay, thanks. And he's here to talk about Transformers, John Rocha.
Yeah, son.
Oh,
It's
my
Transformers
God.
Friday, isn't it? Yeah,
It
it's my
is
favorite day of the
Transformers
week. It's my
Friday.
favorite day of the week.
They
Hello, everyone.
they know you're on.
That's right. Hello, everyone. Let's have some fun.
And one of my favorite people, Mark Ellis.
Do we have any non-Transformers stories we can talk about today? I don't know, another beloved franchise from the 80s that involves ponies and magic. Let's find out.
Yeah. All right, Wendy, what do we have first?
Well, we didn't get to see Steppenwolf in action in the first trailer for Justice League, nor is he featured in any of the promotional materials, but that hasn't stopped Game of Thrones actor Ciaran Hinds from shedding a little bit of light on what we might expect from the character once he pops up on screen. In a new interview with Independent UK, Hinds briefly teased the villain's goal in Justice League, saying he is old, tired, still trying to get out of his own enslavement to Darkseid, but he has to keep on this line to try and take over the world. Dennis, what do you think about Ciaran Hinds' comments on Steppenwolf?
First off, I love Ciaran Hinds. Ever since I saw him in Rome when he played Caesar, I felt he was underutilized in Game of Thrones as
Yeah.
Mance Rayder. That I was excited when he got cast, but they didn't really live up to his full acting potential. For this movie, I'm also concerned, are we going to see his face? Because we've already seen a preview of Steppenwolf in Batman v Superman, and it seems like he's very big, he has the armor. Are we only going to hear his voice? As far as his comments are concerned, I actually like it. I like that it's a dynamic where Steppenwolf is not Darkseid's lackey, that he is in some sort of he's forced to help him. Not to say he's a good guy or anything like that, but he will have his own ulterior motive. So I think that will bring an interesting dynamic to Justice League. Ellis?
Independent thought is always a good thing with your villains, Dennis, as his age in this new DCEU, because everybody's past their prime. Superman's dead, Batman's really old, Steppenwolf is old and crusty, but that's the way I like it, because they're experienced, they have wily caginess, and I like that in a veteran. Plus, Ciaran Hinds is a guy who I'm always a fan of, like Dennis said, whatever that guy is in, whether it's a great TV, fantasy series, or it's a dramatic role in film, he always brings his A game, and I think Steppenwolf is going to do the same in Justice League. Plus, I mean, come on. Is there a more kick-ass name for a villain than Steppenwolf? It's a great band name. It's a great villain name. I want to see more classic rock bands in my comic book movies.
Yeah.
Perry?
I'm not going to get too carried away about this quote because it is one sentence, but at the same time, big fan of Ciaran Hinds. And actually, if you're going to give us one sentence about your character, this is kind of a promising sentence, because what's better than having a character with an interesting issue with his superior? I mean, this to me makes it sound like Steppenwolf's going to be a more interesting villain than just, oh, we got to beat this guy to get to the bigger guy. So I think this is a pretty good start for him.
Rocha?
Yeah, I love this. There's so much involved in this quote because you can take it in so many different ways. You can say, yeah, technically, could it be literally a slave? Or is it just because he is Darkseid's uncle, but he's also under Darkseid's foot? He has been, in the comics, the leader of Darkseid's army, right? So he's had his run-ins with Darkseid. He's had to kind of cater to Darkseid because Darkseid in a moment can kill him at any moment if he goes against him. It's very North Korea-like, if we want to make a reference there. So it's like those kinds of things are interesting to bring into this character. And Ciaran Hinds, you wouldn't normally think of him as, he's in his 60s. He's not a guy that you normally would run to and think, oh, this guy could be an awesome villain. But he's old. He's tired. He's been doing this a long time. So it lets you know that there's a lot of history that's going to be involved in here. And I wonder if they'll go with the new 52 route where he does stuff on multiple Earths, especially with Flash being involved here. Are we going to do Flashpoint stuff? Is he going to be going to multiple Earths? All this stuff is possible with Steppenwolf. So to me, it excites me even more. And Ciaran Hinds, like you said, Dennis, fantastic actor wherever he shows up, from Miami Vice to Ivanhoe to Game of Thrones to whatever. He's always solid. He's always good. And so I can't wait to see what he does with this. And do we get the Highfather getting involved in here too, and New Genesis? Because we have Apocalypse, we have Darkseid, we have these ideas. So there's all kinds of things that are opening up here if we start to explore more stuff on the Darkseid side of the family.
Yeah. People, I think, in the comments were saying, it looks like he will be motion captured. So we won't see him. You won't see his face because the original Steppenwolf in the comic books, he's kind of a guy in armor and a costume, but you see his face,
beard and everything.
Yeah. So it looks like they're going to utilize Steppenwolf as kind of the lead up to Darkseid. I can't remember. Have they cast Darkseid's voice yet?
Not that I've heard. Have you guys heard it?
No, I don't think we've casted Darkseid's voice yet. But when you incorporate the Steppenwolf and whether he's under or still working with Darkseid or under Darkseid, I like that they throw that element in there because it adds another layer to a villain where it's not just going to be some one note, lurking, shadowy bad guy. He's actually got his own stuff going on. Plus, eventually, Steppenwolf can team up with other classic rock bands like Iron Butterfly, Bachman Turner Overdrive, Leonard Skinner. That's a fearsome foursome right there.
I love how you leave off Van Halen. You're just doing it on purpose
Van
because
Halen's
you
not a
want to
classic
say Van
rock
Halen
band.
with every
Van
fiber.
Halen's not a classic rock band. They're an all-time great band.
Wait, what? Are you kidding? Okay, all right, fine.
But he said all-time great band.
They started in the 70s. That makes them a classic.
78, yeah, sure.
All right.
All right. We're moving on to buy or sell. Wendy, what do we got first?
Deadline reports that The Walking Dead's Jeffrey Dean Morgan has signed on to join Dwayne Johnson in the new Line monster movie Rampage. He joins a cast that includes Moonlight's Naomi Harris, Mayling Ackerman, and Joe Manganiello. Morgan will play Agent Russell, who works for a covert government division called OGA, and rolls with a serious swagger and attitude. The movie is based on the 1980s Midway arcade game in which 3 giant monsters are wreaking havoc across North America. It reunites The Rock with his San Andreas director Brad Payton, with a release date set for April 20th, 2018. Mark, do you buy or sell Jeffrey Dean Morgan in Rampage?
I'd buy it more if he brings Lucille with him, Wendy. I think that's what everybody's excited about is we get that swagger that he brings to the role of Negan in this, because if he's working with a shadowy government organization, we don't know what his real motives are. Is he working for the humans? Is he secretly pulling for the monsters in some weird way? Jeffrey Dean Morgan always it's just like what we were talking about with Ciaran Hinds. You see Jeffrey Dean Morgan, whether it's on the big screen or on Walking Dead, he's always note perfect, and he brings fun. He has fun. He really gets into the character, and even as a bad guy like Negan, who I'm rooting against on Walking Dead, I don't want to see him die because I want to keep having that blooming presence that we get, that sense of humor, the wittiness that we get. And yeah, there's definitely a dark side there too, but I want to see all that. This is great casting, and I hope if he doesn't bring the baseball bat wrapped with barbed wire, at least we get the cool leather jacket and the red scarf.
Perri?
How could I say no to this? I'm definitely going to buy it. One, because Jeffrey Dean Morgan is great, not just in Walking Dead. When you describe his role as serious swagger and attitude, you can apply that to so many things. I mean, look at Watchmen also. Yeah. This guy is perfect for something like this. And the way the Rampage adaptation is shaping up, I can't believe how good this cast is. I'm shocked about how excited I am to see a Rampage movie, and I love the old school game. That's one of those ones where when I go to one of those arcade bars, I go straight to Rampage. I love playing it.
Nice.
If Brad Payton could capture the fun and zaniness of that with this cast, this could wind up being that time where we actually say, we have a great video game adaptation. It might not be the same way you want it in something like, an Assassin's Creed, but this could actually prove to be an excellent film.
Yeah.
Rocha?
Yeah, absolutely buy this. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is so good. I mean, just so good in everything he's in. And he adapts his style to whatever media he's in. Like, he's good in Supernatural. Great in that stuff. Then he adapts to what he did in Comedian and Watch, which you mentioned, Perri. I revisited that last week watching the director's cut, the 3-hour director's cut. He is so good in that movie, and he is so layered and complex, and he brings so much to that character that makes you identify, even though he's a terrible person who attempted to rape Silk Spectre. Like, there's so much involved with, or Sally Jupiter, there's so much involved with it that you're just like, in your mind, like, this is insane. And so to give him a platform like this, to have a little fun, a little serious swagger and attitude in a video game movie is just perfect for him, because he knows how to walk that line between the smirk joke and the serious smirk. So it's great to see him. And of course, obviously in Walking Dead this season, he's done both really, really well. So it just seemed like what do you call that? No thinking casting. Like you knew it's immediate to cast him in it.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy it as well. I mean, despite my mixed feelings about the past Walking Dead season,
oh yeah, true.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan was the standout.
Like
he had mixed feelings.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, break for movie time. 10 minutes Walking Dead right now.
However, he was the standout. Every time he was on screen, I was very much interested. Actually, I think one of my complaints is that he wasn't on it enough.
Yeah.
So if he's going to play a role kind of similar, they're talking about a government official that has swagger and a cocky attitude or whatever. Yeah, he can do that well. We saw him in Watchmen. He's reuniting with Malin Ackerman, who's going to play the villain in Rampage. So I think it's a great fit. Also, another movie he was in that some people don't like, but I like, is Losers. Where he also plays someone in that vein.
That's a great comic book too. I loved Losers. Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Lionsgate has released a new trailer for the upcoming All Eyez on Me, the movie based on the life of rapper Tupac Shakur. The film tells the truth and untold story of Shakur from his early days in New York City to his evolution into the world's most recognized and influential voices before his untimely death at the age of 25. It stars Demetrius Shipp Jr. as Tupac Shakur, along with Kat Graham and Lauren Cohen. All Eyez on Me is directed by Benny Boom, and it opens in theaters on June 16, 2017. Rocha, buy or sell the new trailer for All Eyez on Me?
I mean, can we talk about how much I'm going to buy this trailer? The trailer was fantastic. So good. That actor looks exactly like Tupac. And the thing is, that's what you got to do. You got to cast someone this iconic. You have to cast someone who looks so similar, that you go into it. And this is even more so than almost the Biggie Smalls, the guy who did Notorious, who they bring back that actor to play Biggie Smalls in this film, which is great. I wish they brought back the Suge Knight guy from Compton. That guy literally scared the hell out of me with every scene he was in. But what they do in this trailer, and I think is so good, and this is what I love about biopics that get it right. You guys know the Schmodown. I'm a massive fan of biopics. You've got to show the complexity of these people. They are not black and white. They are not just good and bad. Ali was not just good and bad. I thought that's why that film didn't do as well or didn't succeed in what it was profiling. What you're showing here with Tupac, and it's very clear, they're showing about his leanings. His mom was a Black Panther. We see him wanting to be on top of the social issues. We see where that comes from, his stepfather. Those kinds of things are all in there. But then we see that he has this other side of him that's misogynistic, that in these raps, at the beginning of his rap game, it was about bitches and hoes and all this kind of stuff. And people complained about it, which they show that scene where the woman is, that congresswoman who was there who was talking about it, they wanted to stop this rap music. And you have that scene where the guy's going, you're trying to elevate us as a people, as African Americans, as black people in this country, but then you're using thug imagery, which knocks us back down. So there's so much about this that screams like they're going to get this right, much like Straight Outta Compton. They explore this. They explore both the good and the bad, and I think this is really important in this trailer. And the music. They're getting to use the music, which is so great that I'm just so excited for it. So I buy it with every dollar I got, every cent I have.
See, I'm actually going to lease this because, because look, Tupac is one of my favorite rappers. I think you're right about what makes Tupac interesting. It's that duality of his personality, of where he can make a song about killing people and thug life and all that stuff, and then he can make another song about taking care of one another. I think that's the interesting dynamic. The question is, look, from the trailer, we don't know. We don't know if they're going to delve deeply into these. Are they going to sugarcoat things? Are they going to? Because look, I loved Straight Outta Compton, but it was a mostly positive reflection of the group. They didn't go too deep into the negative stuff. Is that going to happen with this? I don't know. I like the casting. He does look like Tupac. Hopefully he can bring out the essence of him. That's my one concern is, am I going to watch this and think like, look, they just wanted to make I don't know if Tupac's estate is involved with this, but if they want to make them happy,
she is.
See, that concerns me, because sometimes when that happens, all they want to see is all the good stuff about them.
Can I ask you, did you like Notorious? Did you think that went far enough into exploring Biggie's negativity?
I liked it, but I don't know. I didn't love it. I mean, Anthony Mackie played Tupac in that one, but it was a very brief short scene. Perri?
I'm going to buy it. And while I hear your concerns, at the same time, I don't think that that's going to stop me from liking it. I'll agree with you that I would like a movie to explore that kind of situation and in the most truthful and deep way possible. At the same time, I watched this trailer, and I think this is a great trailer. I think it accomplishes exactly what it wants to do. There are a couple of lines that feel, a little cheesy. Like this is where, the inciting incident happens. This is where things turn. And I see all that happening because of what you're pointing out. But at the same time, I mean, I watched this trailer and it's it's a very difficult feeling to articulate, but it's got that feeling where I need to see his story one way or the other. What he's going through in this trailer as it's presented still excites me. The use of the music is so freaking infectious, because when California Love comes on and then the trailer ends, the first thing I did after that was I went and I played it, and then I let all of his music play. So that is kind of part of what they're setting out to do to begin with. You know, I'd like it to be deep and serious and super truthful, but if it only manages to scratch the surface of that, as this trailer I think is implying, I still think it's going to get away with it.
It's a buy for me, Dennis. You know, yesterday was National Burrito Day, and today I got a 7-layer dip of trailer goodness, because the first layer I'm looking for with something like this is just, can you look like Tupac? And Demetrius Shipp Jr. resembles him so much, both the way he looks and the way he speaks. And then you get into what Rocha mentioned with using the music. That's such a crucial thing to me to get me into the mood of whatever story we're telling, but even more so than like the Jimi Hendrix biopic, which wasn't able to license any of the music, and I think that really suffered. Here, I don't need it as much, because we're getting into everything that made Tupac into who he was, what he stood for, the art that conveys every emotion that you should be allowed to convey without repercussions. Is just, this is how I feel at this moment, this is how I feel at that moment. To get all that into one movie and to have what looks like a great performance by Shipp as well as Cat Graham, I'm very excited to see this movie. I understand Perri's, I guess, sentiment that you're going to have these lines that are very transcendent, like, oh, this is where we need to get us from page 10 to page 20. But I'm fine with that in a biopic, because we need to move it along. As long as you get the real emotion of the character and you're able to express that on screen in the same way that Tupac was able to get so much out through his art, I'm in on this movie.
And to be fair, it is also the nature of a trailer. While I'll point that stuff out, that is kind of what you need to make a trailer work and sell and convey a story in 2.5 minutes. For all I know, those lines in the final cut of the feature might work really well.
Yeah, maybe in the context of the movie, they fit a lot better. They build up to it. Maybe they earn it. You know, sometimes trailers show things that maybe look cheesy that end up being nice. Same thing the other way around. You watch a trailer, something looks awesome, and then you watch it in the movie, and you're like, no, that wasn't so great.
And sometimes they use music in trailers that isn't actually in the movie. So I don't think it's going to happen with this, but Take Me Home Tonight, great trailer. They had the Eddie Money song. Where was it in the movie? Nowhere.
Forgot about that.
And I like that the film doesn't look like a straight-to-DVD movie. This looks like they legitimately took a lot of time. I like that Lauren Cohen's in it. I don't know what role she's going to play, but I like that they have taken the time to cast this correctly, and the look of it feels like a feature film. And that's really important if you're going to tackle a subject like this.
I forgot the actor's name, but the guy who plays Marlo Stanfield in The Wire plays his stepdad.
Oh, yeah.
Tupac's stepdad. All right, what's next?
Bad news for fans of Arnold Schwarzenegger, who were hoping to see him in Expendables 4 and even more so return to the Predator franchise. Just it was reported that Sylvester Stallone has exited Expendable 4 over creative differences. Arnold confirmed that he would also pass unless Sly was on board. Speaking with EW, Arnold said there is no Expendables without Sly, and that he would never do the movie without him. As for the Predator, which has a new version currently filmed and helmed by the Nice Guys director Shane Black, Arnold told Yahoo Movies, "They asked me and I read it and I didn't like it, whatever they offered. So I am not going to do that, no. Except if there's a chance that they rewrite it or make it a more significant role, but the way it is now, no, I won't do that." Perri, based on Arnold's comments, do you buy or sell him changing his mind and signing on for either project?
I think I'm going to buy this. I would be very sad to see an Expendables 4 without him. I'd be very sad to see the Predator franchise continue on without him, or at least at this point. But I'm going to buy it because good for him for assessing the quality of a script and the people he's working with and then backing out for that reason. I can totally understand if Sly's not part of Expendables 4 that he doesn't want to be either. And I also think it's completely reasonable that he doesn't want to be part of the new Predator movie if that one report is to be believed and his only role, I mean, I guess this can't be considered a spoiler considering it probably won't happen, but I forget what the outlet was called that we brought up in our pre-production meeting, but someone had said that his role was limited to the end of the movie to tee up a sequel. And I can understand someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger not wanting to be used in that capacity and having nothing to do with the rest of the movie. So, you know, good on him assessing it. He's got other things going on. So while I'm sad we won't see him in these, I think he probably made the right choice.
Yeah, it was AVP Galaxy who reported that. And, you know, Dennis, I'm actually going to sell it that he would change his mind. Okay. I think that there's a chance that they could rewrite the script to try to wedge him into more of the Predator. But I'm fine with seeing a Predator movie that doesn't have Arnold Schwarzenegger in it at this day and age, and I'm fine with not seeing the Expendables 4. I had some fun with the first 3 movies, but I don't need to see more of them. Like, I'd like these guys to just take a break. Just sit in a rocking chair at Cracker Barrel and just talk about the good old days for a little bit. You don't need to be in planes, jumping out, skiing down slope. You don't need to be doing all that stuff. For the Predator, though, what really, really bothers me is that they're not like why would you, if you have the character of Dutch that's still around and you have Arnold Schwarzenegger willing to reprise his role as that, and you're not going to wedge that into the beginning of the movie to set up this new Predator. I don't know where this movie's going. This movie's starting to make me a little nervous. I think Shane Black is really cool, but I don't know where this story is going that you wouldn't have him help set up the beginning of the movie in the same way that you had Arnold and Carl Weathers at the beginning about to go on this mission. I'm not saying Arnold needs to go on the mission in the new Predator, but I mean, you got to expect he would be giving a little bit of advice. If I had to go fight a Predator that just landed, the first guy I'm calling is Arnold Schwarzenegger because he's the only one that survived it. The second person I call is Christian Harloff. So I don't know what you do to go battle a Predator unless you have Dutch's number on speed dial.
Rocha.
Okay, so do I buy or sell these comments? I buy the comments because I think he is trying to use the old Hollywood thing of like, well, unless they change the script, I won't come back. And it's logical. It makes sense. I think it's a smart move by him as an actor. He's kind of turning the screws a little bit on Shane Black to beef up the role. And this happens all the time through decades in Hollywood. So it makes sense. It's a nice move by him. He doesn't need the money. He doesn't need to be part of this. Arnold is fine. And so he can make these kinds of decisions and make these kinds of statements, and it works. You know, so we'll see if they beef it up. I'm with Mark. I agree. I don't need to see him in it, but if you're going to put him in it, you got to have him even in like a briefing, even a briefing room where they bring him in. He's got his cigar and like, this Predator has landed. We're not telling a lot of people. We need to know what you did. Let me tell you what I did. You know, there's something there that you can explore with him, and it's great. Now, I do take offense to what Mark says about Expendables because they don't need to be on a rocking chair. If he wants to go see Van Halen and they're 85 years old, then damn it, these people should be doing Expendables 4 as well. I love the Expendables movies. They're not the greatest movies, and there are some cheesy moments, but for those of us who grew up on 80s action films, they are so awesome. When Chuck Norris shows up, it's everything. When Mel Gibson revitalizing his career is the best part of Expendables 3 because he's so awesome and so above everyone else in what he's doing as an actor. It's worth it to see the showcase of what these people can still do when given the right material. And Sly knows how to use his friends. And this is so ironic that Arnie won't do the film because Arnie and Sly through the 80s and 90s had a really like contentious relationship because they were competing to be top dog in the action movie genre, and then eventually became friends with Planet Hollywood. And now you see these kinds of moments. Even Escape Plan was worth it to me. I saw it 3 times because I love their chemistry. They're such great. It's going to revisit old friends is what it is, and that's why I'm sad that they're not going to. And hopefully, what Sly is doing, because the producer came out and said, Sly and I have fought all the time with these expendable movies, so it doesn't mean he's completely out. You guys can write what you want, but there's certain possibilities. So they may all come back and do Expendables 4, but everyone is posturing like they need to be posturing, and to me, I have no problem with it until they start shooting. I won't believe he's not in it until they start shooting.
Okay, mark my words right now. I will actually pay for a ticket for Rocha to go see Van Halen on their massive 2018 tour. You know why it's different than Expendables 3? Because Van Halen, when they hit the stage, they're not mailing it in. Expendables 3, everybody mailed it in except for the new guys. So Harrison Ford shows up and he's actually trying. You probably thought he was just flying a helicopter. He didn't know he was in the movie. Mel Gibson shows up, he's actually trying. But Sly didn't care. Statham didn't care anymore. Schwarzenegger didn't care anymore. Bruce Willis didn't care anymore.
Randy Couture cared.
Van Halen still cares. They still care.
David Lee Roth.
And we
never
haven't
cared.
even gotten to the Transformers
Yeah,
story yet. Wow.
I'm actually I'm gonna buy these comments as well. I mean, let's start off with the Predator. Yeah, I thought if they were gonna use his character that he would come halfway in and be some sort of advisor. He didn't necessarily have to go on the mission with them. And it looks like, from what that report, it sounds like almost like maybe he's in a post, or they wrote him in as a post-credit scene. So if he doesn't want to do it because it's not a big enough role, I think that makes sense. And I don't think it's a reflection on how good or bad the script is. He just didn't have a big enough role. And then for Expendables, it makes a lot of sense. It's smart because, one, he knows, look, Sylvester Stallone is the face of that franchise. Expendables is his baby.
That's
it's
true.
his thing that he put together, that he brought all his friends together. And I didn't care for the first one, but I did really like the second one. I think the third one was a step back because I don't know. I think they took themselves a little too seriously.
Agreed.
I like the tongue-in-cheek nature of the second one. Fourth one, I don't need to see one. If they made one, I'd still go check it out. But Schwarzenegger knows if he even tried to go and do the movie without Sylvester Stallone, people would criticize him and complain. And so if he's friends with Stallone and him not being in, I think that makes a lot of sense. Hopefully Stallone comes back to the property because it just doesn't make any sense. How do you do Expendables 4 without Sylvester Stallone?
And you look at the recent box office track record of Arnold Schwarzenegger, the returns haven't been good.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
I thought the movie that he made when he was the sheriff and the Last Stand or whatever that was, it was really, really good.
Yep.
Nobody saw it. Escape Plan. Rocha saw it 3 times. A lot of people didn't. So unlike a very successful Van Halen tour, a lot of people aren't paying to see money to see Schwarzenegger on the big screen anymore, and that's just a fact. I don't know if that factors into their new script for Predator. I don't know if Shane Black is like, I don't want to lean too heavily on Arnold for that reason, because they don't want to get some of the Terminator Jenny Smith, which relied too heavily on just having Arnold back and not enough furthering or at least trying to build some continuity in the story. Maybe that's what it was, and so if they want a fresh take on Predator, I'm totally cool with that. I'm just saying that if Dutch is still alive, I'm calling it.
I want a +1 for Escape Plan 2, which they're shooting now with you. I want to be your +1 if you get a screening, Mark Ellis. It's Dave Bautista and Stallone. They've been tweeting excerpts and shots from the movie.
What a sweet date night.
Yeah, it
Have
would
fun.
be. It
I
would
can
be.
see that. Like, you and I are going to get an iced tea, our usual iced tea at Panera
Yes.
right after this.
Yes.
We're friends.
That's right. And Eddie, and let's be honest, David Lee Roth has never cared a day in his life. Let's be real.
David Lee Roth
Stop
has
it,
the
you.
most energy and charisma of any lead singer
Yes, but
that
he's
has
never
ever
cared.
lived. He's not the most talented guy, but my God, does that man put on a show.
All right, let's move on to my favorite subject, Transformers.
All right, Paramount Pictures. What's happening over there? Paramount
Earl is
Pictures
writing
has
all of this down. Don't worry, guys.
Rocha, contain yourself.
I'm
get
sorry.
your get your
You know
Transformers
what?
shirt ready.
Stop playing favorites.
Okay, here we go. Paramount Pictures has released a new featurette for the upcoming Transformers The Last Night, featuring Michael Bay talking about the process of shooting native IMAX 3D and, of course, blowing stuff up. The Last Night is the 5th entry in the big screen franchise, which will feature King Arthur, Nazis, Dinobots, and Mark Wahlberg, all the ingredients necessary for John Rocha to buy a ticket. Transformers The Last Night stars Mark Wahlberg, Anthony Hopkins, Josh Duhamel, Stanley Tucci, and Isabella Moner. It hits theaters on June 23rd. Dennis, buy or sell the new featurette for Transformers The Last Night?
Okay, believe it or not, despite not caring for the franchise and what Michael Bay has done with this franchise, especially for some cartoon that I grew up with and it was one of my favorite things at that time, I actually buy this featurette. The reason why I buy this featurette, first of all, I don't hate 3D like some other people. I think if used properly, personally, I don't think Michael Bay is going to use it properly for this purpose. But the reason I buy it is that Michael Bay has passion for it, and he's enthusiastic about it. I mean, that's one thing, even as someone who's a detractor of this franchise and what he does, he's talking about it like, you see this footage of him filming and shooting these scenes. He's getting excited about it. He likes it. He thinks he's using it for a purpose. If I don't care for that purpose, but I like his take on this. Rocha?
Listen, this is a great featurette. I buy it so much, right? I mean, this first thing, can we talk about Michael Bay? How do you look this good at that? Like, that guy eats nothing, and this guy's on set all the time. He's in great shape. You actually see his belly button at one moment in this featurette. It's really insane. He's wearing a crop top. I don't know. It's insane to me what he's able to do and hours he spends on the set. And I would take a little bit of umbrage with what Dennis said. I think if any complaint that people have about the Transformers movies, it's not the look of them. It's not the necessarily the attention to detail is really, really powerful in all these movies. Whether you agree with how he makes them look is a separate thing, but he does pay attention. So I will agree with what Dennis said, is that he cares. Michael Bay does legitimately care about this stuff. Whether you like the way he cares about it is your personal thing, but he does like it. And I think what you see in the featurette is the amount of time and effort that they put into this. And this is just like, if you watch any of his featurettes, other than his ego, you do see that he knows what he's doing with these cameras. He knows how to take advantage of technology. I love IMAX or 3D. I'm with you, Dennis. 4D, 5D, 6D. As far as you can go, I will go see it. I love it. And IMAX 3D is something that I absolutely salivate for. And so to me, I think Transformers is the perfect thing to use because of the shininess, the glow, the colors, everything about it. Those films are very vibrant, which is why I enjoy them. And yes, Matt Nose made fun of me one time with the dangling of the keys. I will admit that's what happens for me, and I have no problem with it. I have no problem with some movies you just want to enjoy that way. Transformers franchise has always been that for me. Now this featurette explores the King Arthur stuff. We see the explosions. We see the Anthony Hopkins, the table, all of that stuff that's going on. And I know there was a 15-minute or 25-minute special showing, and some people are criticizing that. You can't judge a film with unfinished CGI, unfinished connected scenes. You just can't. So give it some chances. I think this looks awesome, and I'm excited to see it. And what Wendy said at the beginning is right. All the ingredients for me to buy a ticket are in there. Nazis, King Arthur, Transformers, Dinobots, Mark Wahlberg, Isabella Moner. I'm so in.
Perry?
I was actually ready to buy this and talk some positivity about Transformers, but then I don't think we can get any different when you just said, I love 3D.
I do.
Oh,
I do.
If there is any trend, any technology trend that's happening right now that I wish would go away above all else, it is 3D. I can't stand 3D. I still will say to this day, I have never seen a movie where it's good, but it would never be the same if it wasn't for 3D. Like, maybe it's good in Gravity and I don't know, but I don't like 3D. I want that to go away. But to backtrack a little, I will buy this featurette. I am super into technology, and I like following new trends in the industry. And this, to me, is very interesting. I like the facts that they dropped, and you could definitely see that he does have an extreme attention to detail. I love the point where he brings up about all the little specks of dirt that are flying up and how you can only capture something like that if you shoot it in IMAX 3D. And like, there's just a bunch of interesting facts where this is the first movie to be shot in IMAX 3D. He spent an extra $10 to $15 million to do it this way. Those actually seem like smart decisions, even though I don't like the Transformers franchise very much, but this feels more like a commercial for IMAX 3D and their relationship than it does specifically for the Transformers movie. And it actually makes me want to not see any more Transformers movies and instead to maybe get a documentary about how the Transformers film franchise is partially responsible for turning IMAX into the company that it is.
Ellis?
I'm going to agree with Rocha here. Michael Bay is in great shape because stroking your ego is a great cardio workout. But when you watch this, I buy the featurette. And can we throw that picture back up on the screen, Adam? Because when you look at this, look at the 4 movies that he's got in the background. That's the good Michael Bay, okay? The Bad Boys movies, The Rock, 13 Hours. But we also saw the good Michael Bay in this featurette because he cares about making movies. Does he do the Transformers ones well? I don't think so. But when he's making a film, he has passion. He wants to further the art. He's got a lot of the same wiring as James Cameron. Not with making great sci-fi, but with furthering the art of cinema and trying to push the audience to a different plane, whether that's with the use of 3 or 4D or throwing an IMAX camera in there. He cares about making the experience cooler for the viewer, and that's awesome. I just wish he could do more of this stuff and still have people help him out with crafting a story that is going to mean something to people and not just be a lot of fun eye candy and a Bud Light commercial for Rocha.
Also, for me, what I also buy is, since I'm a post-production geek, he has an editing setup in his house that's connected to his editors. And only when you really reach that level can you do something like that, because most of the time you have to go where the editors are. But he has, some multi-million-dollar thing at his house, and I think that's pretty cool. One thing I will sell, though, because as I was doing research for this subject, Anthony Hopkins was quoted in an interview saying that he said that Michael Bay was a genius and compared him to Oliver Stone, Steven Spielberg, and Martin Scorsese. I'm not buying that one. I'm selling that. I do with what that quote what you want with
Dennis, that is Sir Anthony Hopkins saying that. You need to show some respect.
He's Sir Anthony. He's not fighting. He's not putting on armor.
He as he's saying that, he's like
Counting the
flipping. Yeah, he's flipping through the money that he's making for this film.
I'm always making it rain.
Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins.
I agree with Anthony Hopkins though, because like there are elements of genius in what Michael Bay does. It's just that it's not the full-on director genius like what you get with a Scorsese or Spielberg, but there's certainly elements of greatness in there. And you see that rig that he's got at home, like Dennis pointed out, that seashell. If you put it up to your ear, it tells you how great Michael Bay is.
Wait, but wait a minute. There's bad movies in every director he just named.
Right.
There are terrible movies in their au revoir. So you can compare Michael Bay with them equally. Armageddon, Bad Boys, 13. I love 13 Hours. I'm with Mark Ellis as well. I thought that was a really well done film. I like Pain and Gain. I like all
even
this.
though
most
I
of the
like
stuff.
Armageddon and The Rock, I am not putting Armageddon and The Rock against Goodfellas, Wolf of Wall Street.
That's right. You're right.
That's where I'm.
But in terms of technical achievement, you can argue Scorsese doesn't do that kind of crap. He can't do that kind of stuff. Michael Bay can't. And I think that's where the balance is how you look at it, in your opinion. I don't know.
You just got so self-conscious.
Yeah.
I did. Because I know I'm saying ridiculous stuff. All right, let's go.
All right, let's move on to
We have
Rocha.
that on camera now. We have that on film.
He's getting ready. Somebody get this man a cowboy hat, please.
All right, let's move on to now Rocha's favorite subject,
Oh, yes.
Pacific Rim.
Hey-oh.
In an exclusive interview with Collider's own Perri Nemiroff that appeared in the recent airing of Collider Nightmares, director Guillermo del Toro revealed why he didn't return to direct Pacific Rim Uprising, the sequel to the 2013 Pacific Rim. Del Toro stepped down from the director's chair, making way for Stephen S. D. Knight, showrunner of Marvel and Netflix's Daredevil. Talking a bit about it all, Del Toro said, "The timing started to suck. I had this little movie that I wanted to do, The Shape of Water, very, very much. At one point, it was Justice League Dark or Pacific Rim, and I said, let's go to Pacific Rim. The reality is, they said, we're going to need to postpone because they were changing hands. Legendary was going to be sold to China, to a Chinese company called the Wanda Group. They said, we've got to wait 9 months, and I said, I am not waiting 9 months. I'm shooting a movie. And I went and I shot The Shape of Water, and we chose Stephen D. Knight. Rocha, buy or sell Del Toro's reasoning behind not directing Pacific Rim Uprising?
Having witnessed this interview live, I absolutely buy this. Perri did such a fantastic job. If you haven't watched this interview, finish watching us here on Movie Talk, go and watch it. Guillermo del Toro is one of the most amazing human beings I have ever been in the presence of, ever. There's just a warmth and a glow to him, and he knows what he's talking about. He drove here by himself. There was no assistant. He came by himself. He said, I asked him why he doesn't have assistants, and he said, because I end up being their assistant because I worry about them so much. On a movie set, he has assistants, but in real life, he doesn't need one, and I love this about him, and I think this is what he said. He's very matter of fact. If you watch the interview, he's very matter of fact about everything. There's no pretension. There's no trying to angle in a certain way. He just talks very truthfully about most of his projects. And one of the things when he talks about Pacific Rim, he said, hey, this didn't work for my schedule. I wanted to do other things. 9 months, I'm not going to wait 9 months. I want to be creatively inspired and keep doing things. And so he moved away from it, picked a good director to come in, Stephen S. Tonight. We'll see what he does with it. I'm excited to see what he does. And I want to personally retract every statement I said that one time I was on Movie Talk and said he shouldn't direct movies anymore. Being in his presence, I want him to direct my home movies, direct any movies, direct commercials, direct music videos, whatever he wants to do. Honestly, if you ever get a chance to sit in on a Q&A or go watch him at any screening or anything, do yourself a favor and go. You will come out a different person. You will come out and have hope and faith again in creative people, in Hollywood, in movies, because he's such an incredibly gracious human being. And it's shocking the horror that comes out of this man because nothing about him radiates darkness. It's all warmth and light. And so I totally buy what he said here, and it makes logical sense. He decided for him, 9 months was too long to wait. I'm going to do something else, and I can let my property go to someone who I trust. And he said, as a producer, he doesn't need to be on set all the time, but he's there to help them all. So to me, I think all of this is great, and I totally buy it. And go watch this interview. Perri is amazing in it.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it as well. We actually have a segment in the latest Nightmares that Perri did, but then we're also going to release the full interview next week so people can check that out. I buy it despite, I wish that he directed the sequel. Yeah. Everyone knows I love the first Pacific Rim, though I am a big fan of Stephen S. Knight, so I'm looking forward to that. But I buy it more because of his approach. You talked about it a little. He talks about what it is to be a producer on a film, like to be a good producer, where he's not a producer that goes in there and goes, well, you should change this or change this. He says it's like being a trainer or a cornerman for a boxer. The director is the boxer. He's in the ring, taking the punches, throwing the punches, and doing all that. And the producer is the cornerman that's trying to give instruction, trying to help out best he can, but he's not in there in the fight. And I just like that approach. He had many awesome and inspirational things and insightful things to say about the filmmaking process in general. And he's not like naive or anything like that. He's talking about from like, okay, well, this costs this amount of money. This needs to happen. So I like you, was very inspired when he came in. Perri?
Obviously, I buy these comments. And thank you for saying such nice things. I mean, obviously, we were lucky enough to have him come in. So naturally, that meant I was super nervous and wanted to make this interview worth his while. But I'm really excited for the full thing to go up. There's a lot of information about all the projects that we know he's been attached to. And then it's just the way he explains how those relationships work. And in particular, with Pacific Rim, I'm with Dennis. I had a lot of fun with that first film. I wanted to see him make a second one. Hearing his reasoning behind why he passed it over to someone else makes so much sense. And I think I say it in this part of the interview that I wish more directors and producers and studio heads out there took on this mentality of the director being in the ring and the producer being the corner man, because that's the only way stuff like this can work. Otherwise, you wind up in those situations where it's too many cooks in the kitchen, someone's original idea gets soured and doesn't turn out to be the greatest thing it can be. And I had asked him when he was talking about this, how much were you actually on set with Steven? Because he had said, if they don't need me, I'm not there. And that's exactly what the situation was. He's like, Steven says he's good. He's doing his own thing, and I respect that. And I'm seeing dailies. That, to me, is just one of, the most effective kinds of relationships between a producer and a director that I think needs to happen in a lot of other big-budget productions out there. And I feel like if Pacific Rim 2 comes out and it winds up being a really great film, I'm going to wind up repeating exactly what he said in this interview and continuing to bring that up, because this just sounds like such a healthy approach to continuing a franchise.
Ellis?
Yeah, I buy it. I mean, the guy can't help but be honest, and what I love about Del Toro is his imagination and his creativity. Some of my favorite movies of his are the Hellboy films, because just every frame of those, it just has so much originality coming off it based off the comic book, and then you see the world that he was able to bring from the page onto the screen, and to see it, just the way that it feels like you're immersed in this new world. Same thing with Pan's Labyrinth and a lot of his films. So it's a bummer to a certain extent that he's not doing Pacific Rim 2, but I understand the reasoning, and I'm also looking forward to what tonight could bring to this franchise, where I thought that the scenes between the awesome robots fighting were a little flat to me. They didn't have a whole lot of life to them, so maybe he can inject a little bit more personality into the in-between. But like you, Dennis, I mean, I'm going to see Pacific Rim Uprising to watch giant robots fight giant monsters, and the name of the young lady who interviewed him for this escapes me, but it was a really good interview, and I'm always happy to see Del Toro, because that guy truly loves movies, and like Rocha said, it makes me remember why I like watching movies in the first place.
I mean, I teared up. I got emotional listening to him, because it was just like he's so pure, It's so rare in the city, man. It's so rare.
If that story makes you cry, wait till this next one.
Yeah. Let's move on to now Perri's favorite topic of today. Wendy, what do we got?
This is the best story ever. Lionsgate has released an announcement video for My Little Pony, the movie, featuring the voices of Emily Blunt, Kristen Chenoweth, Liev Schreiber, Michael Pena, Sia, Taye Diggs, Uzo Aduba, and Zoe Saldana, with an original song performed by Sia. The movie tells the story of a new dark force threatening Ponyville, with Main Six, Twilight Sparkle, Applejack, Rainbow Dash, Pinkie Pie, Fluttershy, and Rarity, embarking on an unforgettable journey beyond Equestria, on a quest to use the magic of friendship to save their home. My Little Pony, the movie, will hit theaters on October 6, 2017. Mark Ellis, buy or sell the teaser announcing My Little Pony, the movie.
Now I know how a stripper feels at the end of the night, because I got to wash this glitter off me. I mean, it's on every pore of my skin. It's just shiny, glittery weirdness. I'm going to buy it because the demographic they're going for is not me. And I think that they're going to get kids' attention with this. And it was almost like I might have gotten diabetes because it was so sweet watching this trailer. But having said that, I think that they appeal to the audience they were going for. I think if you're a little kid and you see this on the big screen, you're going to go crazy. Now, a lot of people that grew up with My Little Pony in the 80s, they probably have kids today. So they're going to see that and get excited to share that with their kids. So as much as it's not my demographic, I'm going to step outside of my own proclivities and say, yes, I think that the My Little Pony teaser was good.
Perri?
I'm normally very good at stepping back from my own personal feelings about something and saying, oh, I get the demographic you're going for. I know this is for kids and it's not for me. I think my ears were bleeding when that started. That voice came on and it just makes me cringe. And I watched it again just to see if I could, I don't know, pull something out of it that would make me think, oh, my little cousin's gonna love this. I'm the first person to go and take my little cousins to any silly movie out there. I am not going to this. I don't care if those cute little 5 and 6 year olds ask me. I'm staying home. I can't listen to this. I couldn't listen to it for 30 seconds.
Yeah, the voices
No.
were pretty tough to take.
It's awful.
Yeah, I'm gonna sell this for the same reason. I mean, just the voice was like ear piercing. It like started to give me a headache. And the thing too is, I feel sorry for parents that have to take their kids, because what do kids do after they watch a movie? They repeat the stuff that they hear and see in movies. So I can't imagine kids seeing this movie and then parents having to listen to their kids repeat in the same tone as this. It's not my demographic. I understand there's probably a bunch of people that are super excited for this. Not me. Rocha?
So here's the thing. I have to say this as a disclaimer. One of my best friends since college is the executive producer on the movie, Michael Vogel, and we are friends. We lived together for a few years. We go and see movies every Friday night that come out. I've been a part of this process of this movie for a long time. I've seen it from early designs to the possible casting. So to me, I want to encourage everybody, do not judge the movie off this teaser trailer. So I sell the teaser trailer, but I buy the movie. The movie is epic. It's amazing. Now, this is something that the art director Rebecca Dart said on Twitter that she would have never approved what they did with the trailer, and that the animation looks much better in the film. So she said that on Twitter. That's kind of pushing back against this. I also think I don't like the teaser trailer because although you don't like the initial voices they do not say the main actors are in the movie, and the main actors who are part of this resuscitation of this franchise since 2010 are the leads in the movie. Andrea Libman, Tara Strong, Ashley Ball, Tabitha St. German, and Cassie Wesseluck. They're all in the main part of the movie. So that may be just what they took there in the high-piercing shrill. It may just be they made a mistake in using that and to push the treats. And there's nothing in the teaser trailer that gets you excited to see some epic journey of the new lands that they are going for. And the one thing I will say to defend this, though, is that a lot of people are liking the 2D style of treatment in the movie, in the animation. That's going to be a positive thing. And I think also people have been a fan of this franchise since 2010 and the rebirth. So this film is going to explore the world more. It's going to be world building. It's going to create more of a universe, and new lands are going to be explored and discovered. And the one thing that's great about this series, and what Dennis said, maybe the kids imitate and it can get irritating, but the lessons that they teach every season about friendship, about accepting people who are different than you, about trusting each other, about learning the complexities of relationships. It's not as surface as you think. When you watch this series, there's a lot of complexity. They do homages to old school stuff like Pink Floyd. I think they did homage to The Wall. I think they did homage. There's little things that they've done that are kind of subtle pop culture references. This is not a child's show necessarily. And if you give it a chance, this is why there's bronies, these men of 35, 40 years old, they go and they support this because there's more about this show and this series than you think watching the trailer like this. So I will say I sell the teaser trailer. This does not promote the movie in any way, shape, or form. That's good. But I think what the overall movie, I think people are going to love and be very, very happy with. And their Equestria girls did really, really well. So
Have you been injured in an accident? Call the law offices of Rocha, and Outlaw. That was a great. I don't know if you're defending him because you're the outlaw and you ride ponies and then they turn into horses, but that was actually really good. You made really good points, but I did forget when I did watch the teaser, I did have to hold my ears.
Yes,
and
and
it sounded like
fair.
Bjork having a stroke. There was like it was so high. It was like a
dress.
dog whistle. Yeah, I felt like Teen Wolf in the hardware store.
Yeah.
Wendy, what did you think of this trailer?
I mean, I'm with Rocha. I think they did not, like, for marketing, they didn't pick the best choices, like Pinkie Pie with her register. It's
Right.
like I can't even hit it. Like it's ear piercing and it's slightly annoying, especially if you're not into My Little Ponies. I've seen a couple of episodes because I have nieces and nephews. When you babysit, you got to watch what they want to watch. And I think like the little horses are cute, little ponies. I think they're cute, but I've only seen a couple of them. I think it's cute for kids. I am a little surprised that they're going to put this in theaters. Generally, that they put this on like VOD or straight to DVD or stuff like that. So I think if they're trying to grow the franchise, it's good for them. But like, I don't think I'm gonna buy a ticket for it. I'll watch it when it comes on Netflix, though, I guess, to support.
Mark my words. When everybody on this panel loves it, that'll be something. I think you guys are gonna love it. Honestly, I think you guys are gonna love it.
I do want to say I am very, very interested because Taye Diggs is in this.
Yeah.
He's hot.
All right, guys, that's it for Buy or Sell. Before we move on to Mailbag, I'll remind you we're going to take your live tour questions at the end of the show. You can tweet us at Collider Video. Also, remind you that a bunch of videos that we have out on Collider Video right now. We have the latest Jedi Council. We have a new Schmodown between Andy Signor and Christian Harloff that goes up today at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We also had our Rogue One commentaries on the channel now, and the Blu-ray, I think, came out this past Tuesday. We have a brand new behind the scenes.
We do.
Yeah, Perri, what's the behind the scenes about this week?
All right, I guess I'll just spoil it. We're playing Collider Beer Pong this weekend.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Nice.
Me and Makuga teamed up, and we took on Ellis and Riley. So if you want to see
Nice.
who wins,
Who's
go
better than
watch
me?
it.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
We also have Mailbag on Saturday and Sunday. A brand new Awesome Tackler drops today with Jeremy Johns. Also, like I said in the beginning of the show, I'll remind you that we have Star Wars Celebration next week. Half of the office is going to go, and it looks like I'm going with Perri and Mark and a bunch of other people, Christian, and we're going to be doing, we have 2 panels there. We have a Jedi Council panel. We have a movie trivia Schmodown panel as well. We'll also have a meet and greet. We'll create a Facebook invite page. Just look out on our Twitters and our Facebooks, and you'll see all of that. All right, now let's move on to Mailbag. What do we got?
Trek Wars writes, "What's up, Collider crew? It's often been discussed how Netflix is changing the game and how they would be a studio that could make movies that could be successful and be awards hopefuls without going to the theaters. However, not only have they pucked out nothing but garbage movies, Amazon has now come in and not only produced several well-received films, The Handmaiden, Manchester by the Sea, and Patterson, but Manchester has now received several Oscar wins. Do you think Netflix can pick up the slack, or will Amazon remain the dominant streaming service making movies? Thanks for taking my question and have a great day."
I would say slow down a little bit because you're forgetting about a movie called Beast of No Nation.
Hello.
It was one of the
Yeah.
best movies of 2015 that came out. So, yes, you do see some of the slop like the Adam Sandler movies that are coming out on Netflix. But remember, we have a Brad Pitt movie coming out in maybe a month.
Yeah.
And then we
yeah.
have a Scorsese movie that probably comes out next year. So it's not like Netflix is only making movies like that. And then with Amazon, yes, they had Manchester by the Sea, which was great. I don't think there's any like deciding factor or whether which one's better or not. I think they're both in the early stages. Perri?
Yeah, you pretty much said it. There's no need to forget about Beast of No Nation, and Netflix has a lot of great stuff coming out. War Machine is one, Bright, Death Note, Okja. I mean, they've got a lot of good stuff in the works beyond that deal that they have with Adam Sandler. But, it's also worth scrolling through their IMDb pages in terms of Amazon and Netflix and just picking up, when they acquire something for distribution as opposed to actually producing something, because there is a difference there, but I don't think Netflix is behind in the game at all. In fact, I think that they're probably ahead.
Well, yeah, and I think they're catering to a different market, aren't they? Like, there's certain films that Amazon does, and there's certain films that Netflix does, right? Like you said, War Machine's coming out. We had Beast of No Nation. I'll reiterate it. I didn't mind the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon sequel. I thought that was watchable, absolutely watchable. I thought the Pee Wee Herman thing was okay. Mascots, people were split over whether it was good or not, but enough people liked it that it's decent. Yes, the Adam Sandler thing, you can push all that out. But the Tallulah, I didn't mind the Tallulah film either, with the actress from Juno. Oh, God, why can't I remember her right
Ellen
now?
Page?
Ellen Page, yeah. I didn't
Boom,
mind Tallulah
Schmodown.
either. God, baby carrots. And the 13th, the documentaries they do on Netflix, the Nina Simone documentary is awesome. So they're catering to a different market, and Amazon does great stuff, right? They're going for the Oscars, right? Netflix is kind of slowly building towards that spot, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a marathon, not a race, and so I think Netflix is doing just fine.
Right, I understand the sentiment from Trek Wars that you have those Adam Sandler movies come out, but like Rocha said, you also have What Happened to Miss Simone, you have the 13th as documentaries, and they also have a lot of great original specials they're doing. Chappelle just had 2 specials,
Yes.
not on Amazon, but on Netflix. So Netflix is clearly still the front runner runner in the game. And like Dennis pointed out, the fact that Scorsese has The Irishman coming there next year is very exciting. So Amazon's doing great. Netflix is doing great. I don't have stock in either company, so I get to watch all this stuff. And I don't really care which platform's giving it to me. I'm just going to be a Gustus Gloop from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Just give me more original content out of the river, and I'll get sucked up into a tube.
All right, and with that, let's move on to a live Twitter questions. What do we got up first, Wendy?
The first one comes from Derek Spicer, who writes, who would you cast as Darkseid? Michael Ironside voiced him on Justice League animated show. Darkseid needs epic voice.
Oh, man.
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's tough.
Is James Earl Jones still alive? I mean, you gotta.
Did you see Rogue One?
You gotta. Last night, actually,
He was pretty good in that.
Yeah, it was. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think James Earl Jones, he's such a great voice, but he's so synonymous with Darth Vader or Mufasa that you don't want to throw James Earl Jones in there too many times. Liam Neeson is another guy who's got a great voice, but we hear him so often that he keeps surprising me with the fact that he can knock things down in the studio and
There's a
then
ghost over
disappear.
here.
There's a ghost over
There's a
next to
ghost.
Wendy.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I guess like
Haunting me.
Liam Neeson thought I was about to talk smack about it, and he's like, wait a minute. Sorry, Aslan the Lion. Sorry, Big Tree from A Monster Calls. So it's one of those older, more experienced veteran actors. And look, none of the cast in The Expendables has anything on their calendar, so maybe get Stallone to come in and voice Darkseid. I guess he really can't because he's going to be in Guardians.
Hey, Superman.
Yeah.
Mark Strong is a possibility, isn't he? Coming off of Kingsman, he's got a very strong, powerful voice. You could mess around with another African American voice, Andre Braugher. Some of these
happening
trying
to
to
you
kill.
right now?
When
Well,
there's a
like
ghost
that.
in the studio.
Yeah, I mean Liam Neeson did.
Darling, there's a ghost over here. I'm not sitting here anymore.
Liam Neeson did Aslan, so we've already associated him with that. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's a number of people that I think you can play with and explore. Tom Hardy might be interesting as a Darkseid if you're actually going to do the physical, evoke the physical nature of him.
How about our buddy from Rebels, Sam Witwer?
Oh,
Not
yeah.
be too bad. He's great as Palpatine. He's great as Maul, so that could be a possibility.
Well, one of
Someone
Perry's
in
favorites.
the live chat also pointed out Liam Neeson's voice work in A Monster Calls,
Yes,
which I think was
true.
great, and I never for 1 second was taken out of the movie because I'm like, oh, that's Liam Neeson voicing a monster.
But you could tell that tree had a special set of skills.
Damn, you're too quick for me.
Yeah, I was just looked up some voices here. I mean, we have people like Sam Elliott, Keith David.
David, I
yeah.
like.
Oh, yeah.
I like that call a lot.
Yeah, so Malcolm McDowell,
Yeah.
people like that
What
who
about
have
Idris?
gravitas.
How about John Rocha?
There
You
go.
do voiceover. Give us your
I
best
do.
dark side.
I don't know if I can do that. That's the best I got. What do we? Superman. I can't do those deep, but you got to have that within your nature.
I bet the outlaw could do it.
Like Clancy Brown. Like Clancy Brown, who did a nice job.
Clancy
If he-
Brown
Oh, yeah,
did
If
Clancy
he
Brown's
hadn't
great.
done the terrible thing that he did in Green Lantern, I think Clancy Brown would be possible as well. You know?
All right, what's next?
Rocky Drago 66 writes, will Joe Edgerton ever direct another movie, or was The Gift a one-time thing?
I hope he does because I
Yeah.
thought The Gift was wonderful.
Yes.
It
Gift
was
is great.
one of the biggest surprises of that year. Was that 2015? I think.
2015.
You know, I heard he was directing his first film, and I think it was smart for him to take on a smaller film, and him starring in it, I think helped. And I hope he does another film.
I would
Yeah,
be
it-
shocked if he didn't direct
Yeah.
another film, given how successful that one was. Because I can't remember what it did at the box office, but when it came out on DVD, there were just so many random people in my life who said, "Oh, that movie, The Gift, I'm gonna watch that," and they didn't, and they loved it.
Yeah, I think it did well because it didn't cost anything to make. Joel Edgerton did it on a shoestring budget. I like all the performances he got out of himself for sure, but also Jason Bateman was really good in it. There's a lot of elements to that film, and it's got a nice creepy pace that I think pace is one of the hardest things for a director to nail, especially the first time out. The fact that it just keeps sneaking up on you was really well done. So I'd like to see him do more films in general, but specifically in that thriller vein.
Yeah, and it's tough to do those kinds of movies, right? Because we've seen so many of those kinds, single white female, what have you. You know, we've seen a few of those movies. So he did a nice job of touching this idea that was in the pop culture mainstream about going back to your high school reunion. This 20 years, like the mistakes you've made in the past coming back to haunt you. That's kind of a thing now in the pop culture idea. You know, so I thought it was really smart for him to take advantage of that and do that really well. I thought that film and The Visitor in 2015 both were these quiet, small films that should should have gotten way more publicity, but were reviewed really, really well. Dan Stevens is fantastic in The Visitor, and so these are great movies that they need small movies. The Guest. I'm sorry, The Guest. Well, he visited. He was visiting.
I thought you were talking about The Visit, like
M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, no, The Guest.
There's a difference between a visitor and a guest. Like a guest is somebody you welcome into your home, like a Mark Ellis. A visitor is more like somebody like a Rocha who stops by,
like an alien from another planet. They visit our planet.
Yeah, it's like
they're really a guest.
Have a beverage, relax for a minute, and then get on your horse and ride the hell out of town.
That's enough out of you. You could be a visitor and then become a guest.
Hey, look, I have a lot of fun with you, but in all honesty, you are My Little Pony.
Yes, all right, that's it.
That's Dark Side right there, ladies.
Yeah. They should come out with that voice. That's like when Conan does the thing with Thor and he gets that guy to do that like squeaky little
That's
voice.
right. That's my Shutterfly.
Yeah.
There we go. All right.
All right. What's next? Wendy can't keep it together.
Ooh, Chris Gomez, he writes, is it possible that the box office results for the Power Ranger movie was hidden by the BOGO movie ticket sales?
It hit by what?
What?
BOGO, buy one, get one free.
Oh, I didn't know about that. However, I mean, the movie still hasn't come out in China yet, so there's a potential, much like with what Pacific Rim and Warcraft, where it could blow up big there and then help further along a sequel. I don't know about the BOGO stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't know that was a thing either. I don't think it came out in China or Japan, which could prove to be great markets for it.
Yeah.
At this point, it's got a little over $100 million worldwide, which means that at least it made back its production budget. But I think I have someone ask me on Twitter every single day, do you think that the Power Ranger sequel is going to happen? I still, even though it didn't exactly crush it at the domestic box office, I still think it's going to happen no matter what, just because Lionsgate has so much stake in this property. They just put so much into this first movie. They're going to kind of screw themselves over, even if they didn't make a killing to then pave the way to the second one. Yeah. They at least have to try number 2, and if number 2 doesn't wind up being a financial success, then we could really be having these conversations of, are we going to get 3, 4, and beyond?
Well, the question is, did the BOGO sales improve the box office? Is that what they're
No,
asking?
did it hinder it because you're not
Away.
factoring in how many tickets were actually
it could have been
in the
more
theater.
money. I don't think. I really would be surprised that there were like millions of people that went for free. So to me, I think it's maybe a very small part of it, because I think most people went and paid the regular tickets and enjoyed it, and people who love the franchise brought their friends to support it. I don't think necessarily they'd be doing the.
Yeah, I would look at that as an offset cost, because with that, you're hoping to generate enough positive word of mouth, which the film got to get other people to go see the movie. So as many tickets as you gave away free to go see it opening weekend, those people probably told at least one person that was like, oh, maybe I should go check that out and buy the ticket. So I think 40 million is a nice, even playing field for what it brought in. But Perri makes a great point. Look, the thing's coming. It has not come out in China yet, right, Dennis? So this thing, and we've seen that trend with movies recently, is that the United States box office does not mean it's not the king that's going to say whether you get a sequel or not. Look at a movie like Warcraft, which did not do well domestically, but it crushed so hard overseas. You might see a sequel to something like that. So if that's the case, I don't care who keeps the ship up. I think that Perri deserves another Power Rangers movie.
Aw, thanks.
All right, let's do one more.
Okay, this one comes from Blade GTR, who writes, since we're talking about 3D usage in film, what's the best and worst use of 3D movies you've ever seen? I like The Martian in 3D.
My best is still, I think, Avatar. I think like that, seeing that movie, and it kind of transport you. It does what 3D I think is supposed to do, which is help you get immersed into the environment that you're in. And when I watched that movie in 3D, I felt like I was there on Pandora. As far as worst, I mean, just not a fan of post-converted stuff. I think they should shoot it natively. They should have an idea of what they're going to do with the 3D. So anything post-converted, I'm not a huge fan of.
To be fair, I can't remember anything specific that I really despise, but for some reason, Wrath of the Titans is coming to my mind right now.
That
might just be the movie.
One of my one of my least favorite things about 3D movies, though, is when it makes it a shade darker. That drives me absolutely insane. I think best usage, though, probably Gravity overall, but one of my favorite uses of 3D where I actually had one of those moments where I was like something came out at the screen and I reacted was Hugo
Oh,
with
yeah.
with like the snowfall. Something about that kind of atmospheric feeling. I think that's the best uses of 3D. But I'll still maintain I've never seen a movie that can't be seen without 3D, where 3D enhances the story that much that you need to see it with that. So I'm still not into it.
Rocha?
Yeah, I would agree. Avatar, definitely. Gravity, I thought was great. I even liked Edge of Tomorrow in 3D. I went and saw that in 3D at the IMAX or at the Chinese theater ground with TLC, whatever it's called
Yeah.
now. Yeah, and I love that theater. It's great to watch. I thought The Force Awakens was great in 3D. I really enjoyed that. But I agree with you, Dennis. The post stuff sucks. Like Wrath of Titans is exactly what I was going to say. That's the worst. And I would argue Pixar movies that are in 3D are up blew my mind in 3D. I thought that was the best use of 3D for an animated film. It really got you even deeper into what was happening for me. And I respect Perri not feeling that way, but as a junkie of those kinds of things, visual stuff, I love the 3D stuff.
Yeah, it's a good point. Animated movies do convert well in 3D. I don't know how they do that in relation to a live action project like The Legend of Hercules, which was just useless 3D. But the best 3D I've ever seen in a theater, to be honest with you, Avatar was great and mind-blowing, but Harold and Kumar's Christmas movie, when I felt like the smoke, there was like a cloud of smoke like coming into my face, and it reminded me of college. And then I would also say Jaws 3D is the greatest use of 3D. You get a shark. Remember Freddy in Nightmare 6?
Yeah.
He like dangled his claws right in front of you for like 10 seconds just to let the kiddies know it's in 3D.
All right, on that note, we're going to wrap up this episode. I want to thank people joining us at the table today. Perri, where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Perri Nemiroff, and then of course check out Collider Behind the Scenes tomorrow, 2 p.m. PST.
Rocha?
Hey guys, you can always find me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. Of course, every Friday here on Collider Movie Talk. And of course, Walking Dead is gone, so we won't be doing that anytime soon. But the Cinephiles on iTunes and on Stitcher, we just dropped a new episode. I think we did, I can't remember what we did this morning, but it's really, really good. I know that. I'm sorry. I should be promoting this better. I apologize. But also, I just announced on the Schmoes No Show, thank you to Mark Ellis and Christian Harloff, The Outlaw Nation is coming as a podcast. We'll be covering all kinds of topics. My Little Pony, Transformers, political stuff, sports, like everything's going to be covered. I've got free reign to cover the stuff that I want to talk about for an hour. And I hope all of you will come on as guests, everybody who's here, to talk and argue stuff, because it's just fun to explore these kind of subjects in a way that's even deeper and like back and forth. I like debate, so it's a perfect podcast for that. So please do all that.
Well, I'll see if I can clear my schedule. You guys can find me next week at Star Wars Celebration. I'll be across the street at night telling jokes at the Orlando Improv. And for anybody who has ever stepped on a stage to try to make people laugh, or if you just enjoy comedy in general, we had a huge loss yesterday with Mr. Don Rickles passing away at the age of 90. You want to do yourself a favor, give yourself a little treat. Just YouTube Don Rickles, Frank Sinatra. It's one of the funniest stories you'll ever see. And you can watch Don Rickles do his legendary roasting at the second inauguration, or I guess the re-inauguration ceremony for Reagan in 1984. It is one of the funniest things, one of the coolest moments in comedy you'll ever see. Do not miss it. YouTube it right now.
French Connection. That's the episode. Sorry. I just had to get it right for Cinephile. Sorry.
And Wendy, where can people find you?
The Movie Couple channel on YouTube and on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat at Wendy Lee Zaney.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero, Instagram, Dennis.tzeng. I want to thank Adam and Cody in the back. And don't forget to check out all our great videos. And reminder, we'll be at Star Wars Celebration next week, starting Wednesday night, Thursday. I think that's the plan.
We get there Wednesday night.
Okay. All
Nobody's
right.
hanging with us Wednesday.
Yeah.
We need to sleep, damn it.
So thanks to all you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.